Do you know that even though God promises to grant the desires of our heart, there are certain prayers he will not answer? You don't know? Grab a chair, let me tell you all about it. So, you remember when I told you about the goal at the beginning of the year, land a fully remote job with all the benefits, in May, and somehow I landed one in June. So, the part I didn't tell you was the role I wanted was a director position, right? And so I was applying to majorly director positions, and I got some good interviews. There was this particular organization where I was sure I had gotten the job, right? But here's the thing, this position, not that I wasn't qualified for, right? But I used most of my experiences from Nigeria, which was not directly related to the role. But if you know me very well, you know that there's absolutely nothing I cannot do, especially when I set my mind to it, right? So I said to myself, if I had held positions like this in Nigeria and I've been able to do the work that I've done, with NGOs, with corporate organizations, then I should be able to learn on the job and catch up as quick. You remember, now, Nigeria know they carry last. So I was so sure that, I was going to do well on the position. However, even though I was working in the same field, I was like maybe 4 or 5 steps away from that position in the hierarchy of things. But imagine the guts I had, from this position, I was applying for this position. And I really wanted it so bad because I thought I deserved it. Yes, in the country, I hadn't up to 5 years of experience, but accumulatively, I have over 15 years of experience. And my experience outside this country should count, right? So I went for positions that I really wanted. I wrote it on my vision board, director position, resume 1st of May 2025, and I had this interview. The interview was so good that I was sure that I was going to get the job. Now, prior to the interview, I studied like I was writing a professional exam. I learned everything about the field because the position I was currently holding didn't do a lot of the managerial aspects, the administrative aspects, and all those type stuff, And like I said, even though I had previous experiences, not in this particular field, And so I studied so hard, like I was writing a professional exam. I needed to know the intricacies of the job. So I read like my life depended on it. I was reading up to like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. almost every day because I knew that was a massive interview. Now, I went past the first level interview. It was fantastic. Second level interview, it was hot. It was a panel. It was a panel of about 4 people. Each one spent about 20 minutes asking questions, literally roasting you, to bring out what makes you think, like what you had in you and all that type stuff. Boy, by the time the third person was on her questions, I was like, bruh, when is this interview going to end? And after the interview, I asked the question. I was like, have I given them any reason to be concerned about my ability to perform in the role? I always ask that question after every interview because what you don't know is when you ask that question, sometimes they may not tell you the truth though. But for the most part, if they have any concerns, they're going to say it to you there, And when they say it to you there, you're able to address it immediately. So you clear their doubts, before you leave the interview room. So when I did, they said, well, they don't think I'll have any issues managing the position. However, all my experiences have been in Maryland and this organization operates in DC. And I was like, the laws are pretty much similar because they're all government, institutions. And I went and said. However, after like a week, I didn't hear back. I reached out and it was like, yeah, they were going to get back to me, And then the next stage of the interview was to interview with the founder. I had a dream that only 2 of us, myself and another black lady, made it to that final stage of the interview. And the 4 people were deliberating between who to move on to the next stage where they meet the founder, because it has to be whoever they've chosen. So it was a tough deliberation. And then someone on the panel said she has been working in DC, her experiences have been in DC. However, the other person's experiences has been in Maryland. So maybe we should go with someone who already has connections with the agencies in DC. And so they went with the other lady. I woke up, I kabashed, I prayed, I scattered, I binded, I said, no God, this is my job. And so yeah, eventually they said they moved on with the lady. I never met her, but I saw her in my dream, right? And it was God telling me, just showing me a picture of what actually happened. But I didn't even understand why he was showing me that. Now this is where it gets interesting. One of the other interviews that I had, I got that one and I started that one, right? Now, when I started that job, I had a month of training that I was supposed to do for the job. So this is what I learned. When I went in for the training for this position, in my group were about 5 of us who were being trained. I think 1 person left during training, 1 person left shortly after training, another person left, So I think it was just about 2 of us that are still working for the organization. Now, during that training, brother and sister, everything I read on the internet was rubbish. The intricacies of the job. And I was like, this is a lot. The job is tough, And some people left because they were like, no, this is too much. I can't do this. It's learning too many things, taking certifications, doing so many things. Like, it's just too much. I can't do it. And they left. And something said to me, stay, take the certifications. There was a lot to learn. You were responsible for a lot of things. So you cannot afford certain mistakes. So there were certain things you needed to know to prepare you for the role. In that moment, I said to myself, now the director position I was going to take, the unit was created afresh in the organization. So I was going to lead that unit with Google knowledge, like I I would have failed woefully at that job because I didn't know the intricacies. I just knew the basics at the level that I was providing. I was at the time, you know. But that's not what happens in management level. So I would have flopped so bad that it probably would have ruined me from getting other positions. And so I did all that learning, and then something said to me, if you stay the course, go through this rigorous training, take the certifications, do the tests, the exams that you need to do, gain the knowledge that you need, then apply for the position that you wanted when you've gained enough experience here. Because the level I'm at right now is where the hard job happens. So even as a director, you know, I would have just been managing me, like getting the main job done. You know what I mean? But I need to know what is expected of me to be able to manage the position well. You know what I mean? So I would have failed on that job. And then it made sense why God did not let me get that job, because I would have made a fool of myself thinking all the knowledge I needed was Google knowledge. I would have made a fool of myself. I would have failed woefully at it. And now I'm learning this job so much. So in fact, in my first 3 months, I mean, the first month was training, it was tough. The second month was you doing it on your own. And bro, it was tough. I'm not even gonna lie. But the best part, from the 3rd month, I became a shining star. I've not been in the position for up to 6 months, but I've been recommended for promotion twice. In fact, I was recommended twice, so much so that the regional manager said, she's not 6 months yet. I'm like, hold off. Now, the knowledge I have, you know, learning on the job, it was hard, I'm not even gonna lie. But now I've gotten to a place where it has become so easy. Now, in another video, I'll probably tell you how the job eventually became easy. And every week I was hitting milestones, and every week I got recognized. And I'm just sharing this to tell you that sometimes where God doesn't answer your prayer is because he has seen ahead of what you can see. He has gone beyond where you are, and he's seen the possible mishaps. He's seen the possible damage it will probably cause you, and he loves you too much to allow you to go through what you don't know. So it's okay to temporarily feel like, God, are you even hearing this prayer? It's okay, you know, eventually you will get it. And just trust God to know that whatever it is, whether he's answering right now or he's going to answer later, or he's going to answer in a different way like he did mine, just know that he has your best at heart, and he who began the good work in you is faithful to complete it. Stay the course. Just saying. I love you.